Welcome into the Behind the Wall podcast, sponsored by Anti-Fragile Brewing and John's Cheesesteak Downtown. If you need some beer, some cheesesteaks, go on downtown, grab you some, have some good time with the friends. And happy Memorial Day weekend to you guys. Hope you guys have some fun with family, friends, cook out, and consume some alcohol, but not too much, all right? All right, we have a new format for the 2025 college football playoffs. And stick around because I am going to give you the full rundown also of what that playoff format looks like for the future after 2025. So it was a unanimous vote. It was decided that the playoff seedings for 2025 would go off straight seeding, which means that there is no automatic bids for those top four conference winners. So we will not see Boise State and Arizona State put at 3 and 4 again, where Penn State really benefited from that. Obviously, getting Boise State in the second round of the playoffs, it's going to be a harder route. There really won't be as much of a, if you want to call it, I guess, a cupcake route to the to later and deeper in the playoffs. It won't be that easy. So, to get an easier grasp of this, here we're putting on the screen is last year's playoff seeding. Now, the bottom of the 2024 seeding rules, which were every conference winner was guaranteed 1 through 4 seed, and then the 5th highest rated conference winner was an automatic bid to that 12th seed. That is all out of the window now. Throw that away for 2025. For Penn State, we obviously got the 6th seed in the college football playoffs, but we were ranked 4th in the AP poll. So for 2025, we would have been that 4th overall team, giving us a bye. It did not matter. There would have been 2 Big Ten teams inside the top 4, Oregon and Penn State, and we both would have had a bye. And Oregon, many Oregon fans are licking their wounds a little salty here that they would not have had to play Ohio State. They would have a much easier matchup later on, but because of those auto bids, everything got pushed back, and I think that's what put Ohio State, whatever, they're 7 or 8, and that led them to playing Oregon in round 2. Now, one of the biggest story of this kind of realignment is that conference championships in 2025 really have virtually zero importance, and really, I'd say you almost don't want to play them because now that's an extra week of games that you're just putting more on your body, and you're not really getting anything from it, except maybe just moving back in the rankings because you lose that game. So that part does suck. We love those conference championship games. But overall, great news, right? College football playoffs finally gets it right. I'd say not so fast on that because this straight seeding format is just for the 2025 college football season. Now, based on reports, shout out to Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports, does a great job on all of this. He is the guy to follow for this. The 2026 playoff format and beyond, right now where we sit, it is expected that it is going to be a 6-team playoff with auto bids back in. So there's many different proposals of what the auto bids are going to be like. We have the format that has been propped up the most is a 4-4-2-2-1 auto bid. So those two fours, that'd go to the Big Ten and the SEC, and then 2 auto bids to the ACC, 2 auto bids to the Big 12, and then 1 auto bid to the highest ranked conference winner. That's for the kind of the group of 5 to fight over those Boise States, those type of teams. Now, and then those last 3 spots, because 16, that only makes up 13 teams. Those last 3 spots would be at-large bids. That is that way that Notre Dame can get in. And also, Notre Dame could be, because there's no auto bids to the top 4 bye teams, those teams that get that first round bye, that means that Notre Dame could get that first round bye, and they don't have to play in any conference championship. They could only have to play 15 games and win a national championship. Notre Dame would be the only team that would be able to do that. So I guess if you want to say one of those other, teams that aren't in a conference, but Notre Dame is the only one at a real threat of actually doing that. That is good. So let's put up this on the screen. We're looking at the numbers. Here are the average numbers of the teams that would have made the 16-team college playoff had it been in place since the playoff era came in 2014. So looking at it, it is somewhat fair. And this is another reason, you can see why the Big Ten and the SEC deserve to get those 4 spots, because that's what it is. They just based on the numbers, that's what would have happened over these years because the Big Ten and the SEC is better than the ACC and the Big 12. Another reason, the Big Ten and the SEC get final say in the college football playoff formatting that we are moving forward with. So ACC and Big 12 commissioners, they get to plead their case, and they can say, hey, we want more, and they are fighting. They both are saying we deserve 3 auto bids, but it's really up to the Big Ten and the SEC if they want to give them that, and they probably don't. And the Big Ten and SEC just bring in more money, so they get to call the shots. Now, let's talk about some very cool possible additions when it comes to this 16-team format playoff. Up to this point, the Big Ten has played 9 conference games. The SEC has played 8 conference games. That's why you see when Alabama's playing Mercer in Week 11, and it's a Penn State, Ohio State that weekend, and there's tough matchups in the Big Ten, and SEC gets to fall back on a really almost bye-week-like game deep into the season. That is why. Now, with this new format, the SEC will agree to 9 conference games. That would also set into motion a scheduling agreement with the Big Ten and the SEC, where we were going to see marquee Big Ten SEC matchups early on in the season. So basically, we would be kind of throwing away those, every team has those 3 games at the beginning of the season where we're playing Nevada, FIU, and Nevada, Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. And we would see more like we're going to see in 2025, Ohio State versus Texas, Penn State versus LSU, Georgia versus Michigan, Oregon, Alabama, those type of big matchups. And a lot of people are saying, well, why would the Big Ten and the SEC agree to get rid of these easy games and play a top 10 team early in the season? Well, one of the number one reasons, and in all of this, is money, because these crossover packages are going to be worth well into the 8 figures for these different, for Big Ten and SEC to kind of just spread that money apart. And they need it. I mean, we're at the point where now these athletic departments are giving up $20.5 million of their budget. So just sucked out to have to share with the players. Welcome to the revenue sharing era of college football. So that's going to be exciting. I think fans will get up for those. And also, it won't really have that much of an effect on your ability to make the playoffs. And that is because those auto bids that we were talking about, where the Big Ten and SEC have 4 automatic bids that they get to, just share amongst that conference, and it's a lot easier to get into the playoffs. Well, that is only based off standings in their conference. So if Penn State is undefeated in the Big Ten, but let's just say they play 2 SEC games to start the year, it doesn't really matter that much. Those 4 auto bids are all about the conference standings, not the overall standings. So as much as it would be big games when, like I said, Penn State plays LSU or Georgia, it wouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things as far as their ability to actually make the playoffs, because those auto bids are all about conference standings, not overall standings. Now, the other idea, play-in games. This is another big piece of what is being offered up as this new college football 16-team format, is that the conference championship is going to be played. That is the number 1 team in the conference, once again, in conference standing, not overall standing, versus number 2, like it has always been. Then we have 3 and 4. Well, it's not just going to be so easy where number 3 and number 4 in the conference for SEC and Big Ten just get to mosey on into the playoffs. 3 is going to play 6 in the conference, and 4 is going to play 5 in the conference. Those are 4 extra big-time games, 2 in the SEC, 2 in the Big Ten, and it's going to be played on championship weekend. So the same weekend that the SEC and Big Ten championship is being played, it would also feature these play-in games. So once again, why? More money. More TV deals, more eyeballs. That's why they're doing it. Once again, I am an advocate for we need a players union to be able to fight somewhat against this stuff, because the players have no say. They're just saying, all right, yeah, whatever, that sounds good, but more and more games being put on these guys. And, I think in the end, us fans will enjoy it because it's just more exciting games. And there's that opportunity where if you are teetering on that 7th or 6th best team in the Big Ten or SEC, Well, you still got a shot late in the season. Up to this point, if you were the 6th or 7th best team in your conference, you had no chance to make the playoffs. So I will say it adds a little bit more parity. It is a little bit more exciting for each conference. But, welcome to the new world. We are in a new era of college football playoffs. Just to be clear, this has not been approved yet. This is not set in stone, but it is very likely this is the route we will be going, and I'm sure it'll be finalized over the next 6 months. It was kind of a fight between 14-team playoff or 16-team playoff, and it seems that we are leaning towards that 16-team playoff. So, I know it's a lot of information. Please leave any comments, any suggestions, any ideas you have below. I love talking with you guys. I want to hear your thoughts. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace.